Get down. That was a great way to start my podcast. My cat's up on my counter. He always loves to try and jump up here whenever I'm trying to do stuff, and I'm always afraid he's going to knock things down. Great way to start my podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fit Body Secrets, where my mission is to bring you guys inspiration, motivation, and a ton of tips to help you guys on your fitness journey, and also a little bit of reality. Is yes, my cat just jumped up on the counter and completely distracted me when I hit the go live stream. But the beauty of going live is I don't edit, and it just makes life so much easier. So if I fuck it up, I fuck it up. So I am going to just make sure I'm live on Instagram. I am live on Instagram. Awesome. All right. Today's episode, I actually am taking a little bit of a break from nutrition talk. But if you guys do have nutrition questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat for me so I can obviously address them, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Instagram watching, or even if you're on Facebook watching live. Today, I actually wanted to open up a little bit about my thoughts on CrossFit in general. I've had a ton of thoughts on CrossFit since last year's CrossFit Games, and I have not really talked about it. Originally, it was because I wanted to honestly wait because I didn't want to be reactive to just seeing some things and not actually seeing the whole story. Wanting to see how CrossFit as an entity or a brand / business responded to the things that happened in the CrossFit Games last year regarding Lazar. And I just honestly wanted to get a little bit more time to kind of process things. And I also want to talk a little bit about, I guess, the whole state of CrossFit in general, from the affiliate standpoint, from the game standpoint, and from where I'm at in my life with CrossFit. And thought it would be super, interesting to hopefully talk about and maybe get some conversation started and see what y'all think about the changes in CrossFit. I'd love to hear everybody else's opinions on it. If you've been in the space for a long time or you are brand new to CrossFit. And if you're brand new, you don't even know how good things were. You don't. Okay, because let me just start by telling you about the glory days of CrossFit. And this is kind of where I want to go back to start. I started CrossFit in 2010. And my first year trying to qualify for the CrossFit Games was before the Open was ever even a thing. And in that place, going to the games meant you had to register for a sectional. And the sectionals were state-based. So like every sectional was like based on your state. And then you literally would pay a registration fee, like signing up for any competition. If you went there and you podiumed, you would make it on to regionals, which back then was like based on kind of like general regions. So like the Southeast was like Florida, I think it was like Georgia, Alabama, I forget what else. It was like a small area. There was different regionals, right? And then those people would go on to the games. And I'm not here to talk to you guys about specifically the qualification processes of getting to the games. What I am here to talk to you guys about right now is the difference in the caliber of athletes and what I feel like has kind of been the difference in CrossFit now. When I first started CrossFit, I was 25 years old. And the CrossFit Games athletes back then were a little bit older than me. They were early 30s, maybe late 20s, but they were a little bit older than me. They had full-time jobs. A lot of them were in fields like firefighters, EMT, U.S. Army, different, obviously those types of forces. A lot of them were affiliate owners, so they owned gyms. And it was really cool because in my brain, I was seeing these people who like had full-time jobs, but they had found a way to make fitness a hobby that became something fun that they could achieve. And that was like so exciting to me. It wasn't going to the gym just to do a regular gym routine. It was, I'm going to the gym to like actually be athletic. And it was kind of cool to have something to train for that wasn't like, just like I'm going in to hit some machines or whatever, or I'm going in to take this random group exercise class. And I think to me, that is what is so different from CrossFit now to then. And I've got so many thoughts right now, so I'm going to probably go down a bunch of rabbit holes. But the first thing on my mind and something that I really do miss is that over the last, I would say, since really 2019-ish is when the thing changes started really happen. Maybe a little bit before that, you were no longer seeing people that were inspiring for what they could achieve. I'm not putting anything against the athletes now that are doing amazing things. There is such amazing things going on in the sport of CrossFit. The weights that the people are lifting, especially the ones that grew up doing CrossFit as teenagers and they're freaking 18 years old and they're snatching over 200 pounds. But the biggest difference is CrossFit as sport has now become a lifestyle and a job. It has now become these people's full pursuit. 18, 19, 20-year-old girls and boys are skipping out on the opportunities of education and finding themselves for the pursuit of a sport. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but it has just changed what CrossFit has meant to me from the beginning. And in my opinion, has probably caused one of the biggest problems with CrossFit, because CrossFit Games as a games athlete is very different than CrossFit as a class. However, it used to just be that to get to the CrossFit Games, you did spend more time practicing the skills and the strength and the things like that. But the main heart and the meat of what you did was based on what you did as a CrossFitter. And now it's just so incredibly divided that, like, in my opinion, it's like even going into the open, and this is what made me decide that I wanted to start talking about this today. Going into the open, the CrossFit athletes nowadays aren't even at affiliates. They're not, doing the workouts at affiliates, or they're doing them at affiliates, but they're doing them when nobody else is there. So it also took away the way the sport is now, is it's taken away a big piece of the community that kept CrossFit so together. Like, I remember when I first made it to my first regional event, it was so awesome to have like the whole gym like come and rally behind me, and like that level of community. And then like the people that were there, they were all there to cheer on their coaches and their wives and their husbands. And yes, there is still a piece of that, but it's just different now. It's so less personal because they've tried to, but it's not CrossFit as a brand. In fact, I'm going to talk about where it happened is the athletes and the organizations that are helping the athletes have really tried to separate the athletes in the games from the affiliate. And I think that was probably one of the biggest problems. It was so much more inspiring to me to see somebody who didn't give up their entire life for a sport be able to qualify and do freaking amazing things. And that to me is still super inspiring. It's probably why I am a master's athlete now, but I mean, I used to have a thing where like, I didn't really feel like masters like was a games athlete. Like that was me for a while, but like, I honestly think that the way masters train now is more in line with what how CrossFit did keep congruency. The masters community is probably what still is lingering in terms of like, these are the people that still are showing up at the gym and taking the group classes. And oh, by the way, they're fit enough to qualify for the games. Like that's really freaking cool. So one of the biggest changes that I have seen that has really been, I think, a negative is trying to like fully professionalize the sport, not from a standardization and an organization standpoint, but from a, hey, this is now a way that we make money. Like it's now, this is a job and a way that we make money. And that's why all of this stuff has to happen. Like that seems to be like the biggest problem. And I think that going back into when things really started to change, which was around 2019-ish, people can say what they want about Greg Glassman, but I think he saw that. And I'm sure there was a lot of money problems involved in it as well, that people were probably sinking a lot of money into the CrossFit Games and it wasn't doing enough for the affiliate. But like, I think he recognized that the sport had now transitioned from being a showcase of the fittest of the methodology into let's train for this specific thing. Whereas I think what, Dave Castro's original goals, and I'm not Dave Castro, I'm not Greg Glassman, and I'm just assuming things and giving my opinion. Their original goal was to showcase what the methodology of CrossFit could do. Like if you train CrossFit, these are the things that you are capable of being able to do. And and as I mentioned, like people at that time were making it to the games because they were pursuing doing more CrossFit to get better at it. They weren't escaping their entire life with it. It was like, I want to pursue in my free time this stuff. And when it became a money thing, it changed. And this is probably to me, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this today. I have not been able to compete since 2021. That was my last year really being competitive in the CrossFit sport. I had a shoulder injury, 2022, 2023, like just wasn't going to happen. Well, 2022 wasn't going to happen. 2023, I was like, if I want to compete again, I got to have surgery. So I have kind of been out of the competition space now for a couple of years, but I still train as if I want to be the fittest fucking person on earth. Like I still train like I want to be fit. Whether and that was always the goal for me. Every year that I qualified for the games or for regionals, it was never about the money. It was never about earning a living. Like I knew, and even as athletes, and they do this for a living, like that time is going to come to an end. It was always for me. And from the beginning, what I was so grateful for with CrossFit is I wanted to be an example. I wanted to showcase what was possible for the members in the gym. I also like freaking fully loved competition. I love competing and I wanted to see what I was capable of. And it felt really fucking good to win. Like it felt great to be able to see yourself hit these achievements. And that's what like every affiliate owner wants for all of their members. And maybe it's not going to the games, but it's getting their first pull up, getting their first bar muscle up, getting whatever it is. And that to me, the sport of CrossFit gave me. It gave me a pursuit, but it was never about the money. It was always about like, I want to be able to do this stuff because I enjoy it. I want to see how far I can go. And I think the problem really came when like athletes started to like really trying to make a living with it. And they're trying to make everything. So, it just became a money monopoly versus like a game of Monopoly versus like, let's just do this for fitness and for fun. And there's so many changes that are going on right now that I don't love, but I feel like they're trying to like bring things back together again with the main goal. And can we just talk about like, okay, I have so many tangents I can go off on. So why I'm starting to talk about my own journey is a lot of the athletes this year are all of a sudden like, I'm pulling out of the open. I'm not doing the CrossFit games this year because I don't agree with the organization, yada, 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 yada. And to me, it's just like, again, I think it goes down to you're taking away from what your place is in the brand of CrossFit, right? Like I personally like the community is excited to see the showcase of athletes that do CrossFit. But because there are like money issues and this and that and all this other stuff and all these different, everybody's trying to get, CrossFit to do different things rather than just realizing like, hey, why do you actually do this sport? Like what actually drives you to do it? Because you like the methodology, like because you want to be good at these movements, because you want to showcase that. Like letting the politics of things and trying to micromanage a brand that you have no control over is like stupid. So I feel like it's kind of a disservice to the community for athletes to like pull out. Now, again, like it's their decision. Like it's not my decision and I have nothing against any athletes that do pull out, but I just think it goes against like what your true place is in the CrossFit community. Like in the CrossFit community, the games athletes are inspiring, right? They should be inspiring. And that's why, as I go back to what I think, it's so different now because it was way more inspiring to watch athletes. In fact, some of the athletes that are pulling out, I have been super inspired by for so many years, because they have kept up with their full-time jobs. Pat Vellner being one of them. Like I have always thought he's probably been one of the most inspirational athletes I have seen because he does have a full-time job. He does do other things. So, but it comes down to like another tangent I can go off on is I feel like everybody wants to give an opinion on what CrossFit should be doing with their sport, and we forget it's their sport. Over the years, there have been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of shit that goes on. That's people trying to figure shit out. Like, businesses have evolutions. Again, I think if we go back to when CrossFit really got messy, it came down to when the CrossFit Games started to become more professionalized and people were trying to turn it into a money-making thing. When that happened, everything changed. I feel like if we can go back to where it's just simple, it's a season, here's a season outline, and that's it. The other thing I think we need to go back to, and I'm being honest, is like, it shouldn't be multiple weekends. All right. If they're going to have a masters and team division and an adaptive division, okay, it's now separating all of the community. It should all be in 1 week, just like it has always been. 1 week, a fitness festival. Like, that's why Wadapalooza is so freaking cool. It's 1 weekend, it's a fitness showcase. That's what CrossFit should be. Rather than having it be divided, it should all be in 1 weekend. Why can't it all be in 1 weekend? Why can't these organizations all put money in together to make it work for this 1 weekend for everybody to be in the same place at the same time with the same stuff? Like, that's really what that was the best part of CrossFit. It was the week, like when you went to the CrossFit Games, like, and you were there for the week, it was awesome. They used to have sometimes they would have like the masters before, and then they would have the masters and teams before, and then they would have the games with the teams and the individuals. But regardless, it was like a week of like just being around the CrossFit community. Like, it was cool. Like, you would take a vacation to just be in the fitness world for a week. And it's been just so changed with all of these different things going on. So, all right. So let me talk about how I feel about CrossFit as an organization. Like, I think that they are starting to try and figure things out. But the problem really is, okay, who was the original developer of the CrossFit Games? All right, like, let's think about that. Dave Castro was the OG. He was the one that decided to have this, and he had a right-hand man back then, if y'all knew him, Tony Budding. I'm not sure. Adrian Bosman might have had a piece of it too. I honestly don't know all of it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to be giving you guys all the facts. I'm giving you to know what I know. But he was the guy that created the games. It was his show. It was always Dave's show. Like, and Dave got fired. Like, you fired the person that like did this whole thing. And like, that was another huge mistake. And people, a lot of the athletes have something to say about Dave. And obviously, I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I don't know what was discussed and all of this stuff. All right. But I do know that Dave was the person that made CrossFit Games. He was the person that designed it. He is who made the CrossFit Games what it is. Like, even his stupid shit, his open things, his clues, all that stuff, as annoying as that stuff was, it was like, it was what made the season so cool. It was what made CrossFit fun. It was what made it look exciting. It was what made it different. And now it's like everybody wants to have so many different things. So I'm going to fast forward to last year's CrossFit Games, because this is where I want to talk about the changes in the CrossFit as a whole entity. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about money being pulled from the games. And rightfully so. Obviously, they want to put money back into the affiliate, the education, what their main purpose is. Okay. So the whole issue with Lazar, I have not talked about. And I'll be honest, that has really impacted me. In fact, prior to that happening, I wanted to do an Ironman triathlon. I will never swim in a triathlon ever again. Ever again. I will not swim in the ocean or the open water. Nope. I will know how to survival swim if I need to, but after that, I will not. And I do have questions about that situation. And I am unhappy with the fact that nobody has actually taken full ownership of Lazar's death, because there should be ownership taken. My first year at the CrossFit Games was 2011. And the first workout was forget how long the swim was, but it was in the Pacific Ocean. And I remember I had never swam in the ocean before. I live in Florida, by the way, but we don't swim in the ocean. We like play in the water. We don't like go for lap swims in the ocean. Um, and I remember how scared I was of drowning. And the difference was when I was out in that water, I was literally talking to the people on the paddle boards. There was people everywhere around me that I had to be able to connect with. In fact, I was at one point struggling and they're like, "Do you need help?" I said, "No, I'm okay." Because at that point, David made it clear, if we get assistance from a paddleboard, we are out. I was like, "Nope, I'm not fucking quitting." Don't come near me. I don't want your paddleboard. So I made it through. When I looked at the CrossFit Games this year, and there was like the one or two people in the water, it was clear that there was not enough protection. And the person who was on that paddleboard off to the left, God, that person probably has so much guilt because they were in the closest proximity to him. But this is where ownership was not taken of why was that person not paying attention? Were they not a qualified life like professional? Like what was going on in that person's head? That person probably has a lot of guilt. But that to me, and why was there not enough people in the water? Okay. That answer was never answered. That question was never answered. And that's probably the biggest problem. You know, rather than looking for the scapegoats as to why did he actually drown? Like, you know, was it his cardiac this or that? No, he was struggling and he drowned. Like, that's a scary freaking thing. And there was just not enough people in the water. So that probably was the biggest problem. And a lot of people have a lot of things to say about CrossFit not taking ownership and not taking strides. But I will say this, they didn't take ownership. Fucked up. Like, personally, think it's fucked up. Like, somebody needs to take ownership of that. Responsibility needs to be taken for his death. And that's number one. The thing that I will say came from it is they have made strides and they are recognizing the need for more safety precautions and actually putting funding into some kind of a safety board to ensure the safety of the athletes. Too little, too late. Yes. But we learn from our mistakes. Going forward, they are trying to make things better. So now I'm like so confused as to this season. Let's just talk about this season, okay? Because I'm going to go into like, should you be signing up for the Open or not? Let's just make cross funny. Because I'm talking about a lot of the stuff, all this shit that's been going on in my head, because I got a lot of thoughts about CrossFit. Is what I find to be very different in this season is that they are trying to bring CrossFit back to the community that it once was. They're trying to bring CrossFit Games and CrossFit affiliate back together again. And I think that the Community Cup is probably the way that they're trying to do that. Are they also trying to make more money? Maybe, but maybe it's so that the athletes that are bitching about all the things that they want and the money and all that stuff can get more funding to make it more professional, right? So like that's what we have to look at is, are they doing this stuff because they're trying to give you what you're asking for? You know, so when I'm looking at the CrossFit Open coming up in a couple of weeks, I got a lot of thoughts because a lot of you guys on here might be doing CrossFit. And you're like, should I give CrossFit my $20 or my $30 or whatever it is? I don't even know how much it is right now. Okay. Or should I just do the workout? All right. That's going to be your choice. It's going to be your choice. And I'm going to be honest, it doesn't really matter that much of in an overall grand scheme of things. But I do think that there is something to be said of like, if you believe in something and you are a part of something, you should give to that. You know, it doesn't have to be a charity, but like, if you're like, I don't want to give CrossFit my money, but like, okay, why not? Like, do you like doing the workouts? Do you want to do the Open? Do you want to just like, maybe it's okay. But regardless, this season is a little bit different and there's some good and bads about it. All right. Again, I like the Community Cup. Do I think that the CrossFit Games was a lot simpler when it was the Open was 5 weeks And that was kind of the community thing. I think it was way easier for the affiliates. It's funny because back then the affiliates were like 5 weeks of the open is too much. But then they had the quarterfinals. And I was like, oh, we got to do this whole weekend of organizing all of these workouts. And it's like, wasn't it better when it was just one workout a week and they were just doing it? And that was it. Now you have to coordinate 3 days of like trying to get everybody in the same spot and like going through heats and all that stuff. It's a lot easier when you don't have to worry about all that stuff. Okay. But the open is now 3 weeks. All right. So you have an opportunity to go in. You can compete to try and go on to the next stages, which now they have the virtual semifinals, or they have, I'll be honest, what was the most fun part of the season for me? Freaking regionals. And that's what the sanctionals became, and the sectionals or the semifinals became. And well, first it was the sanctionals, then it was the sectionals. Okay, now we're kind of going back to the, it's honestly really is regionals or sanctionals, whatever you want to call them, or semifinals. They're just not going to be funding those things. They're asking for help from other organizations to give you guys what you want, an in-person event. Now, do I think it's shitty that the teams are not a part of that? Absolutely. Teams should be a part of that just like the individuals are. Like that's one of the things I think that is a little bit different. But I can go off on a whole other tangent about the team situation because I also think that there was something really cool about the affiliate cup. CrossFit Games originally was about finding the fittest affiliate, not just finding the fittest team. And I think that that was also really, really cool, is having an affiliate cup where everybody trained together. And the problem was people were creating super teams by just moving, which is fine. But like, it was still cool to see affiliate cup. Like, this is the fittest gym. Like that's, I think Fort Vancouver, where Justin Medeiros' coach is from, his gym was the affiliate cup owners for a while. CrossFit New England, a gym that I'm from, was an affiliate cup owner for a while. So it's like really cool to see that stuff. I still think that the season itself should be where it was. You should have semifinals or sanctionals or regionals, whatever you want to call them, in person. And then those people should go on to the games. I think the virtual, those types of things just kind of sucks. But I guess they need to have it for people that can't travel. I do think it would be cool for Masters to have a semifinal event. And that's where maybe these organizations that are doing a completely separate games could have been doing a separate semifinals, and then the games were all together. Like that could have been a really cool thing. But let's talk about the Community Cup. I think this is really cool for a lot of you guys out there, and why, if you are starting off CrossFit or you've been doing CrossFit for a while like me, maybe that is something that you want to pursue as like, let me see where I fit in. Like, let me see where I fall. Let me compete with people in my age group. Like, you can have fun with this again. It doesn't have to be about the politics, about, you know, who's right and who's wrong and all that kinds of stuff. Like, I would love for freaking Dave Castro to start doing the open announcements again. That shit was fun. It was funny. Like, I used to love watching the open announcements. They were awesome. Watching the athletes go head to head and like waiting for the workout to be announced, the whole thing. And it's like not the same anymore without him. It's just not. So in my opinion, like this year, how I feel like we should all be approaching the open is like, if you truly like CrossFit, if you love CrossFit, you want to do CrossFit, you want to be good at CrossFit, whatever it is, go into the open and have fucking fun. I don't care if you're a top level athlete and you're trying to go to the games, or you are like the bottom of the tier just starting out. Like, go into it and have fun. Like, that's really what it's all about. Take away the need to like make money off of it, or, you know, this and that, or bitching about this. The last thing I'm going to say in the defense of the athletes, because I think that they've been doing some good, the whole, what is it, the PFAA, whatever it is, professional. I'm sorry, I don't remember the acronyms, but the Brent Fikowski's got a great thing going on with that. I do think that the CrossFit season should stick to something. Like, let's stop reinventing the wheel. Whatever it's going to be, let's keep it that way. And I also think that the workouts standards need to be consistent. No more changing standards on things. Like, this is a handstand push-up. This is what a handstand push-up looks like. This is the standards for the handstand push-up. This is what a wall ball looks like. This is what, like, I think that the problem has come down to, with CrossFit as well, is overemphasizing making movements more difficult or more like freaking stupid standards, like focusing on those things rather than just focusing on the overall picture. Right. Like that's really another problem on CrossFit's end. Like I said, I got a lot of back and forth here. But at the end of the day, I still do CrossFit. I like CrossFit. I love CrossFit. I've done CrossFit for 15 years. I definitely don't do it to the same level of intensity that I always have. I used to be like balls to the wall at every workout, and now I save it for those competition workouts. Um, but the CrossFit season can be fun. Like we can make CrossFit fun again if we just learn to roll with what's coming, like roll with the changes. Like, it's become so political. And that to me has taken all of the fun out of it. So get your ass back in the affiliate. Like that's the, like, I don't take classes in affiliate. I don't. Like it's for me, it's not for my time purposes, for the training I like to do. I like to have control over my programming, but I've also been doing it for 15 years. Get yourself back into like being a part of the community. Like that's really what it is. Connecting again. And I also think, like I said, making it a part of our lives, not the whole purpose of it. I want to see more athletes that are affiliate owners, that are coaches, because that's more inspiring. As a person here that does CrossFit, I'm sure if you're watching this, isn't it more inspiring to see like one of your coaches like qualify for the games than like watching some like 17-year-old or 18-year-old who like doesn't have anything to do but work out all day and study? Like, right? Like this person that's like coaching all day and they're like got two kids and this and that. That to me is way more inspiring, So like you're going to connect with that person more. So I want CrossFit to become what it was originally designed for. Again, the CrossFit Games was a showcase of what the methodology could do for fitness. And that's a lot of like back and forth thoughts on my feelings on the whole CrossFit thing. And I know this got kind of long. I got some comments I want to look over at. Let's see. Judy, I'm not sure if you're still here, but would love to hear any of your guys' feedback on any of this stuff. Jeffrey, in a sense, you give a portion of your money to CrossFit with every fee you pay to your affiliate. What's $20 to test your fit? Like 100%, right? 100%. Guys, y'all pay fucking more money for these stupid ass mud runs and all this other stuff. And you're like, I'm not giving CrossFit my $20. Like, it's like, if you want CrossFit to give back to us, we got to give to CrossFit. Like, you can't say you're a part of the community, but then like not want to do these types of things. But I love that. It's a competition. The cool thing about it is you don't have to travel for it. You're like literally going to do the workout in your gym affiliate. And it is really cool when you see yourself on the board. In fact, one of my things right now is like, it sucks that for like the past 2-3 years, like I haven't even really had my name on the leaderboard. I've tried every year to compete in the open, but 2023 I couldn't because I just had shoulder surgery. So I was literally I wasn't even a month out of shoulder surgery. All I could do was the 50-calorie row. And I shouldn't have even been doing that. And then last year I couldn't because I couldn't do double unders because of my ankle. So the first workout, I think it was, the second workout was I don't remember what workout it was, but it was like the rowing, double unders, and deadlifts. I couldn't do it. So I had to pull out of that, so I hope I can do the workouts this year. I'm excited for it. But yeah, and it's crazy. CrossFit has really changed so much. The way we used to train was different. In fact, we used to jump in with classes. Like it used to be like when I was at Mid-New England, we would train from like 10:30 until like 11:30. We would do our strength work. And then we would jump in with the 11:30 class and do the Metcon with them. And that was always so fun. So I agree. So Judy, you mentioned about the safety board. I think that was probably a good change. And that's really what we have to realize. Like people make mistakes and we have to learn from our mistakes. I love that. Popping over here to see if anybody else has any questions or anything on everything. I don't see anything else here. But yeah, so guys, I'm just going to finish this up with like this. Like if you enjoy CrossFit and you want to do the CrossFit Open, you should like do it. You might be a little bit intimidated if you've never done it before, but I promise you it's going to be no different than any other workout you've ever done. You just might push yourself a little bit harder, So like, and that's where I go back to like, it's cool seeing like what I loved about it was like, oh my God, I'm trying things. When I started CrossFit, I'm like, I'm trying things that I never would have tried doing before. And I feel like by not pushing yourself in something like the Open, you're selling yourself short of trying something that you're afraid of not succeeding at. And that's how progress and success is made. And it's not like your life isn't consumed by CrossFit. You're not going to the CrossFit games, maybe you're not trying to do that, but you go to the gym and you work out hard. Like, give yourself the opportunity to see what it feels like to be like, man, for this one workout a week, I'm going to really see what I'm capable of. You'd be surprised at what you can achieve. I know this firsthand. I remember last time I'm going to end on when I was doing Jackie Pro. This is one of my last good memories of before my injury started to really get to me. Is Jackie Pro was a workout that I did, and it's 1,000-meter row, 50 thrusters, 30 bar muscle ups. I think that's what they made it. I can't remember exactly, but the weight was it's a little heavier. So it was 95-65 on the thrusters. I think it might've been 55. I think it was 65 though. And then it was bar muscle ups instead of pull ups. But the stipulation was you had to row that 1,000 meters in under, I know that I had to pull under a 150 for the entire 1,000 meters and still be able to perform the rest of the workout. But I would have never tried that if that hadn't been standardized as a test. And that's the stuff like, man, I don't even know if I could do that. But that day I did it. It was my fastest 1K row ever. I don't know if I could do it again. I'll have to try it again. So, but that's my thoughts on CrossFit. I have a lot more thoughts. I feel like I didn't even share everything. Let me go back to my notes because I didn't even look at my notes really. Let me just kind of pull some things up. No, I think that's pretty much it. So I am actually excited to see how this season does shake up. I wish that there was more in-person team set stuff going on, but it is what it is. So I just hope that everybody, whatever your opinion is on CrossFit, keep it subject to your own opinions and don't let other people influence things because there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have an opinion about things, so kind of learn to shape your own opinions. And that's why I gave my full transparency opinion on everything. And again, it's very unbiased. I didn't say that CrossFit's doing everything right. I didn't say that they're doing a bunch of shit wrong. I kind of was like, hey, I love what CrossFit has done for me. I love what it does for people. I think that the game should get back to being a showcase of that. That's really what they should get back to being. So I will never believe that CrossFit should be a sport like a NFL, NBA, or whatever. It's just, sorry, that's my opinion. It is a showcase of a fitness methodology. And it is, I do believe that CrossFitters are the fittest people on earth because we can do everything. But what makes that so more impactful is when it's coming from real people that have full-time jobs, people that have other things going on and their whole life is not devoted to fitness. That's the real inspiration and the real fitness. Anybody can dedicate their entire life to something and get really good at it. But can you be that fit while still living your life? That's a completely different animal. And that's what I really missed about CrossFit. So thanks, Jeffrey. Guys, I'm going to head off. But if y'all have any more questions or you want to talk more about CrossFit, like I would honestly love to have some conversations with people. Maybe we can bring like some, I don't even know how to do the live call-in shit. That's just not my thing. But like I could totally do some like share screen. We could figure out how to get you on here because I would love to have like conversations with people about this. In fact, I think I'm going to try and get a couple of athletes on here that I have been really wanting to reach out to get on my podcast that I think would be great to talk to about this kinds of stuff. So if y'all have any questions or anything, obviously I'm talking CrossFit today, but anything at all, nutrition related, training related, even CrossFit related training questions, feel free to hit me up and I will see you guys all on the next episode.